Okay, testing, just making sure that this is going. And what do we wait, 30 seconds for Facebook or whatever, or not Facebook, we're waiting for YouTube. And I guess I should pop up the restream chat. Oh man, it's asking me to log in again. How about that? Great, guys. Just great. So let me real quick do that. I'm still not hearing anything back from Facebook. Oh, there it is. Okay, how many times have I asked Restream to fix this login thing? This is getting ridiculous. Every single time. Okay, anyway, so it looks like Facebook's working. I'm going to shut that up. Okay. All right. See, the one thing says that it's ready for chat, and the other one doesn't. I'm wondering, is one of them actually, are they both actually logged in now, or is one of them, I don't know. Okay. Anyway. Okay. Let's see. Let me check. I'm not blowing the levels here. Okay. Welcome to dropping in at Pipeline Audio, number 74, and this is Hurricane Protocol. And I guess if you've been a long time fan, you remember that band we recorded a long time ago, back when Pipeline Audio was a physical place. And there's a band called Protocol from Cottonwood, and they were awesome. These guys were killer, and I should have learned a lot more from them than I did. But in my youthful, idiotic arrogance, I probably didn't gain as much as I should have, and didn't serve them as well as I should have. So anyway, Protocol guys, this is for you. And it's because we got a hurricane coming. Hurricane Douglas is supposed to be here tomorrow night, I think. And last I checked, it was saying there's going to be winds around 90 to 150 miles per hour. And so I went and looked. You know, sometimes you hang out on the Pauly Lookout, and you feel those crazy winds. And I went and looked it up, and it seems to be like it's like a gusts of like 75 miles per hour is about where it gets to. So yeah, that's kind of hurricane's gonna be a lot stronger. I was here for Eva and Iniki. But you know, Kauai usually seems to take the big brunt of all that. But it was still scary. I remember hurricanes when I was a kid. I remember just bad storms and the whole house shaking apart, and you know, the house is held together by termites. So, you know, who knows? Let's see, share via. Ooh, how do I share to my public? Okay. Anyway, so that's what's going on. We're doing as much as we can to prepare for this hurricane. I've got at least I got the computers at work up off the ground a few inches. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse than that. It's a little scary. Start a watch party. I don't even know how that works. Okay, I'm not going to mess with that. I'm sorry. If somebody can tell me how to get the old Facebook back where you can invite people to watch your videos. I see the start a watch party. I don't think that's exactly what I want. I just want the old invite back. And you know, I can't get the classic Facebook back. It doesn't show up. So anyway, We should have a new version of multiband gate out soon. I know we were supposed to have it out by this week, but we don't. So hopefully sometime next week. Now there's a video you can see on our stuff. I did a test. It wasn't really a problem on the computers I had, but it seems like a lot of 6-core Macs and people running Logic were having CPU use issues with this. But even this one uses half the CPU on my system. But I didn't really see a change in real-time CPU use or the RT longest block parameter. I wasn't really having a problem with that in the first place. So, but hopefully for you guys who were having problems, this is going to fix it. And I hope this will be out, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Monday. I don't know. I'll see. I definitely have a PC version out. If anybody wants to test it, let me know. I don't have a Mac version right now, but we should. Like I said at the beginning of the week, I sure hope so. Who else we got here? So, IK Multimedia, the guys who make Amplitude and, made kind of the first mobile guitar interfaces for the iPhones and iPads and things like that. They had some, I don't know what it was, some kind of teaser, Chasing the Impossible. And I guess they said that, it looks like it's all super epic and they have like really artsy views and things. I don't know. I don't want to get nailed for playing this video, but I guess they're going to tell us something really amazing on Sunday. So I guess tune in on Sundays for that. And see what else we got. I don't know if am I hitting the mic way too hard on here? You guys can tell me. This week last couple of weeks I've been working on an audiobook, and man, I'm humbled at first of all, getting an idea in my head of what the vocals should sound like, what kind of compression. And you can listen to those radio announcers, and they had back in the day, you had those Optimods and all these processors, and you always hear that giant voice. I've been trying different things to sound like that. I've been bugging Vern Grainer. He does such a good job of making mics sound the same on axis or off axis or whatever. I'll tell you what, I'm probably never going to do this with a condenser mic again. There's just way too much lip smacking and stuff. And I have an SM7. I should have just stuck that in that room. I'm always worried about the noise from those things, but the background noise I can deal with. I was trying RX7. I'm pretty amazed at how much stuff that RX7 can do. At the same time, the actual automatic app, I couldn't get it to stop making all kinds of problems. I don't know. Maybe I'm using it wrong. The latency is insane on those things. So, I guess you do it last after you're done editing and stuff. Now, right here, you can see on my screen, if you're watching, that I'm using Quadracom, and that's by Sonic Anomaly, who makes like Bass Professor and stuff like that. It seems like this is a great thing. This seems to work a little bit better for me than Broadcast. If you know the old 32-bit VST plugin Broadcast, this seems to work a little better for me, but I know as I'm going off axis, it sounds different. If I put the mic farther away, this will actually sound really good, no matter where I am, on axis or off axis, but I figured I'd better just put this thing closer to me anyway. So where is Sonic Anomaly? The web page is down. I thought I saw something in on the Reperform or something about where he was. I think he responded to me not too long ago. But anyway, it seems like his page is down. I'm not sure what's going on. I hope he's okay. But like I mentioned, Broadcast, there's a new version, a 64-bit version of that out on the Tone Boosters website. It seems to be the exact same thing. Like they haven't really rewritten it yet, but hopefully he's going to do something like that pretty soon. I'm having all kinds of trouble editing the glitches in the talking. Like if there's like a little click or noise, but it's too long of a click or glitch for RX7 to take out, at least as far as I know how to use RX7. I'm not able to edit it the way, like, I mean, I'll take, you guys have seen me doing crazy stuff by editing drums and guitars and things like that, but somehow with just the vocal and nothing else to hide it behind, man, I'm really, really humbled on how not good I'm editing these things. I'm kind of really bummed about it, actually. I'm not doing the as good of a job as I'd like to be doing. I'm having a lot of trouble with workflow itself. You know, I've been watching some videos of people who talk about how they edit audiobooks, and boy, it is tricky. You know, I want to leave ripple edit on so that, you know, it pinches up the spaces that you cut out. I made a bunch of custom actions so that I can do delete selected area of selected item, and a couple other things, and override ripple, move by overriding ripple. I've been using the shift key for the most part to do that. I did some mouse modifiers, and I'm doing the top half, bottom half, where the top half of the waveform does your regular Reaper stuff you'd expect, and the bottom half just selects a section of the item itself. That seems to really speed up my workflow, but there's so much, like when I slip edit, you know, it's not, I don't know if I want to glue everything together before I edit. I mean, it's just really tricky. I need to hear more about how you guys, your workflow for editing audiobooks. One of the parts that's really hard is when I'm re-recording a part. You know, I have this set up so that, I don't know, I'm sure I'm doing this wrong. I have one channel that's a duplicate that it monitors just me so that I can hear the artist in real time. And he's not hearing himself as he's talking. He only hears it on playback. And so I have these two different tracks, and then one's got monitoring on, one doesn't. And one's not actually recording. It's just monitor only, record disabled. But yeah, I'm really not sure. When I go to record, you know, I'm doing all this like shuffling tracks in and out or items up and down in tracks so that I don't mess up the ripples and stuff. I'm doing ripple per track. And yeah, I'm just having a really hard time with the workflow, especially, like I say, when I have to re-record parts. But it's getting there. But like I said, I do have a lot of custom actions I made that seem to be helping. But for all I know, I'm doing it the hard way. There's a message on the Reaper forum this week, as far as I can tell, was Xenakios bidding farewell to the community. I have seen things change with him over the last years, over the last months. But if you remember the original SWS extension, he had a lot to do with that. And he also has Paul Stretch. I think he's still keeping on with his other projects, but you know, this is somebody who's really, really critical to the Reaper community, and to see him split really sucks. I'm not really sure what that's about. I do have ways to contact him, and I will sometime this week. But, you know, I'm hoping he's okay. He seemed to be. And it was nice to see everybody on the Reaper forum just say, hey, you know, we really appreciate you, because, you know, we do. So Xenakios, I think you've listened to some of these before. You know, you go do whatever you want to do, but know that the community here is behind you. And yeah, I mean, whenever you come back, if you come back, we're around. If you don't come back, we're still around. So you can always reach out to us, to me. You know where to find me. While I'm doing this audiobook, I've been doing this in Dropbox so I can work on it at home or at work. And the you know what happens when you got the autosave on in Reaper? Sometimes Dropbox just tells you it can't record over this thing or it can't save over that thing. Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't. And especially when you have the autosave on in Reaper, it can be a nightmare. So I tried pausing Dropbox and then doing the stuff and then unpausing it. And then I ended up just wiping out and deleting files from one computer or another. So that's not a good idea for me. So I'm not going to be doing that way anymore. If you guys have a better way to deal with Dropbox for that, let me know. I think I'm just going to save the project to something not on Dropbox and then re-upload it to Dropbox at the end. That sounds kind of lame, but seems to be the only way to do it without risking losing entire projects or files that really took a lot of time. So yeah. What else? Man, Melodyne is still Sketch City for me. I gave the new one a try. Really tried to like this thing and just wasn't having a good time of it. See, I had a couple of things from the Reaper forum. I've been getting some region render weirdness, and maybe you guys know how to do this. I just put, sometimes Reaper lets me render selected regions without needing to select the master mix in the region matrix, and sometimes it doesn't. Shoot. Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Pause this. Hopefully I didn't just glitch everything up. I just sorry about that. It's yeah, looks like it's still playing. I don't know. Let me check the stream real fast. Okay, that seems fine. Okay. Sorry about that delay. Let me pull this back up where I was. So yeah, in this region renders I've been having trouble with. Sometimes Reaper lets me render selected regions without needing to select the master mix in the region matrix, and sometimes it doesn't. I've seen some very confusing videos on rendering regions. Any idea why I would get this behavior? How would you normally go about rendering regions and only selecting certain ones? Yeah, I didn't understand. I didn't always have to select the master mix in the region matrix. Sometimes it would just let me select regions, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know. I'm weirded out by that. Let me know how to deal with those regions. And I was looking for RMS meter for following the actual Audible ACX, the guidelines for doing the audiobook submissions, and they specified RMS, not LUFS, and between -23 and -18, and I don't know how they reached that. And so I was using a thanks to Fex on the Reaper forum, he had a link, the tone boosters. No, is that tone TB Pro Audio MV meter, which is a RMS meter. Let me be right back. One second. Sorry about that. Okay. So that's what I'm using for RMS, but I did see a video. I forget who it was by. Sorry. There's a lot of really good videos on using Reaper for audiobooks. There's one where he showed using analytics. I think it was the JS plugin, and you could see your RMS and your dynamic range and stuff in real time. But in the end, Audible has a ACX tool. I forget what it's called, but you'll find it, where you can upload a rendered file, and then it'll tell you if there's a problem with it. So that seemed to get me in the ballpark, and I don't mind submitting and resubmitting. That's took me a couple tries, but I got it to where I wanted it. Let's see, the IK multimedia thing. Dynamic split. Okay. When you're editing drums, and then maybe you want to use dynamic split to add some more stretch markers. That's a Reaper thing. Dynamic split is like an automatic way to split items or to add stretch markers to items and grouped items. What I wanted to do was I already had a multi-track drum set, all stretch markers where I wanted them for the most part. But then I wanted to get a little bit more granular and add stretch markers to all the snare hits, let's say, or kicks or something. And here's what I wrote. In order to auto add transients on multi-track drums, you often have to do a second or third or more pass through with the different guide tracks, say kick and snare. Doing the new track wipes out the splits. So doing the new auto dynamic split wipes out the splits you had previously and can result in a phasey mess. Is there a way to force dynamic split to keep the old stretch markers while adding the new ones across all group tracks following the newly selected guide track? And, there was a couple of things I got back from the Reaper users group and from Reaper forums, but I did put up a video that showed a partial solution using a custom action. And what I ended up doing, see if you can actually see this thing, is just a tab to transient and then add a stretch marker. It's just a custom action, and I'm just holding the damn thing down and just flying it through the track. Now there's problems with that and stuff, but it does add it to all of them. So basically it's item navigation, move cursor to next transient and items. And then the other part was item, add stretch marker at cursor. And I just called it auto drop the stretch. And let's see, let me play this whole thing so you can see when I'm doing it. So basically I just click and then just hold it down. And, of course that won't, you can mess up if there's a threshold problem or whatever, but for the most part that works, and it adds them where you need them. So that's one way out of this mess. So in case that's something that's been bothering you, that's one way to do it. I'd like to have a long talk with Justin about the window fade time and all that, but at least that works pretty good. Now I asked this last week, and I'm still hoping to hear something, or actually probably 2 weeks ago. I was asking for some restream help, and that's not REA stream like the Reaper plugin. That's restream like Restream.io, which I'm using to broadcast this right now. I said, I need some help with Restream. I'm not sure how to announce an upcoming show with it, as a link seemed to be generated when streaming is started. I'm streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch so far, and I'd love to have those pre-show hangouts, countdown that you see on so many channels. And like you just saw, how in the world do you invite viewers on Facebook with the new Facebook system? So yeah, I would still really like to know how to do that. And what else we got? Let's see, I already said Melodyne is still Sketch City. Well, hopefully they'll be. I tried the new Auto-Tune Pro. The thing I really like about Melodyne is that you can do if you pay like crazy money, you can do, you can see the multiple tracks at once. You can tell where you'd moved like a background vocal. It's kind of sad, but I'm not all that, believe it or not, I'm not all that musical. And I'm not always sure what pitch something should be. And, when you're working with amateur singers, they're not really sure where a pitch should be. So, I do have to look at the other tracks once I'm happy with them, and then in order to move them where they need to go instead of knowing exactly what note it should be. But if the stuff's just going to crash and do crazy things, then it kind of not worth it. But we have the other problems with auto tune and Waves Tune. Waves, please fix Waves Tune. Come on, it's been like a decade or something. And so let me get to some Quora questions. I'll usually type these out after I answer them, but sorry. I can't figure out how to get Quora to sort by date. Come on, Quora. And I saw that somebody had built an extension for Chrome that actually let you do that, sort questions by date. And then I guess Quora made them take it down. That's not cool. Let us sort by date. This is ridiculous. So I'll end up answering questions like where the person died 10 years ago before I even answered it. Get out of here with that. So here's a question. You show up in my feed. I'm not sure which ones are actually to me and which ones are just something that the thing sticks on there. Says, does an audio interface improve sound quality? Well, I could be snarky. If you don't have some sort of audio interface, including, whatever is the onboard one on your laptop or whatever, you're not going to have any sound at all. So that would be either the best quality or the worst quality. It would certainly be the least noisy, least distorted. But yeah, you need an interface in order to have sound at all, right? In order to record something or play it back. What the question really seems to be asking is what we complain about on this show all the time is that the idea that you're going to pay more money for a product and it's going to sound a lot better. We've done that testing. We have how many shows on this? For the most part, anything made decent is going to spec nearly the same. They're going to have about the same distortion, about the same noise, about the same frequency response, and about the same bandwidth. You're really not going to... It's crazy nowadays. You can buy really cheap stuff and end up with excellent results. The noise floor, you might actually see some difference in different pieces, but again, it's not necessarily by how much you pay for it. It's just the better design stuff is going to have a little bit better of a noise floor. But aside from that, they're pretty close together. I mean, any decent modern interface, if you can't record a good sound on that, you couldn't. A better interface is not going to help you. What does matter on the interfaces, and I say this all the time, is drivers. Drivers. The better interfaces are going to have way better drivers, and those will mean you'll have less latency you'll have less round trip latency at the same buffer size, and you'll be able to use a lot more plugins at low latencies, and you'll just be eating less CPU in general. Is less crashy, less munchy. It just seems to correlate to the better drivers perform better. And the lower the round trip latency per buffer size, typically the better everything else performs as well. And to me, there's no parallel with RME. They are absolutely the best at their drivers. But you weren't asking about drivers, so I'm not going to bother you with that right now. Yeah, somebody was complaining about the answers for that. How do you get rid of a delay through the monitor on Reaper? Well, so you're probably talking about round trip delay. First of all, are you using low latency drivers? How many shows on this that we do with the Mac stuff where they claim that right out of the box they have these superior drivers, and it turns out that nope, even with the specialty drivers, the Windows one is actually beating it. Well, that's with ASIO anyway. So anyway, make sure you're using latency drivers, a PC or Mac, whatever. On PC, that's almost surely going to mean ASIO. Make sure you're using your ASIO drivers. And then from there, make sure that you are... you set it at a buffer size that that's low enough to have low latency. You can go to my chart, just type in round trip latency roundup, and you'll find the round trip latencies for different audio interfaces at different buffer sizes. And I know, we talked about latency purists before. Generally, people are going to be okay if the round trip latency is under 13 milliseconds. Some people are much more sensitive than that. And when you're actually hearing the acoustic sound and the playback sound at the same time, then your latency is going to matter a lot more. Actually, any latency at all is going to mess you up. But that's how you get rid of the delay. Hopefully somebody's saying, yep, adjust your buffer in the DAW, monitor through the zero latency output of your interface. I wouldn't bother. Get an interface that you can record through a Reaper. This was a Reaper question. Okay. Is it possible to use a condenser microphone to speak to your friends on games and hear them through a headset? If so, how? What microphone works? I'm thinking of Twitch streamers' microphones. Whether it's dynamic or condenser doesn't matter. If you want to speak to your friends on a game, here's the thing. How many shows, and I'm sure I'm probably going to say it again, how many shows do we talk about how hard it is to get audio between apps on the PC or Mac? Let's not stop that nonsense. It's just a nightmare moving stuff around in real time. And it's been 20 years. We should have perfectly good solutions to it. If latency isn't an issue, and I don't mean like massive latency. I mean, just if you don't need absolutely lowest latencies possible, Voicemeeter, the guy who Vince Burrell, who made virtual audio cable, Voicemeeter is really good for this kind of thing. Go watch a video on how to use Voicemeeter, and you'll actually see a lot of stuff about how people stream with it. And what it'll do is it replaces the driver. It makes like virtual cables, virtual speakers, and virtual drivers you can put in your DAW even, and it would let you use like VST plugins and things for your game audio, which is awesome. And yeah, you would hear them through a headset. Any microphone that you can plug into your interface should work. So that's how that goes. If you use the same VST with the same settings on different DAWs without messing with the effects, would they sound indistinguishable? Generally, yes. How many millions of DAW summing threads are there out there? For the most part, DAWs all sound the same. And there was like Harrison Mixbus that intentionally messes with stuff. And even then, they were pretty close. There are ways actually to get pathological with it. But for the most part, it's going to sound the same. Now, there are like more, like, I'm not going to say random, but like time-based effects. And depending on where you start them, maybe because they are working in real time, not all of them go to time 0 when you do the offline render. So like, a flanger could start at a different part in its curve when it first hears your audio. That would make it a little bit different. But aside from that, unless the DAW is broken, there actually were some early on that were kind of messy with this. But aside from that, they should be pretty much indistinguishable. Let's see if anybody else said anything. Yeah, see, I like this guy. He said, generally, yes, now there's always debate among audio nerds about summing mathematics, and each DAW handles stuff a little differently. Plus, there's default pan laws, blah, 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 blah. But unless there's something really weird going on, nobody's going to listen and say, well, that's obviously Ableton, and the other one is obviously Pro Tools. Yeah, smart guy. Yeah, it should be about the same. Okay, my drum room is very small and does not have good acoustics. How can I treat the room to make it sound better in recording using objects I can find in my house? Well, you could just go get really absorbent stuff, all the couch cushions in the universe, and plug them around the room. There's a couple things going on. You got your reflections that are, coming back at you, your cymbals and snares and things, and just a really horrific buildup, but also the high frequency reflections. It's making everything clangy. So if you can absorb the low frequencies, you're going to clean it up a lot. Plus, anything that absorbs the low frequencies is pretty likely to absorb the highs, the clang. But really, you can go down Home Depot or Lowe's and get a $60 bag of Roxel Safe and Sound and build yourself some traps. But if the room is too small, it's really hard to make it sound good no matter what. So do what you can. If you're insisting on doing stuff you can find around the house, just get a bunch of cushions and put them in there, and hopefully they got enough to absorb some of that low frequency energy. But yeah, if you can, go get the Safe and Sound and just use the sheets you got laying around your house, wrap them up in it, and find a way to hang it around the room. If you're the host of a Zoom meeting and you were recording the meeting, will music you play but not sharing in the meeting, so it's just you listening to it, be picked up by the recording? If it's coming out the speakers and it gets into a mic, then yes, it will. If not, and you have a virtual audio cable or loopback of some sort where the music is going into the Zoom system or record what you hear, depending on what you're using for your microphone. If you're using some kind of audio output capture as your microphone in Zoom, which I think you could probably do, then yeah, they're going to hear the music. But in general, like we were just talking, it's really hard to get audio between programs, so maybe not. But if it exists in MeetSpace and you've got a live microphone in MeetSpace, then yes, it's going to go through there. Okay. I'm looking for some drum set mics, either a set or separate mics. Wow, why do I keep going over, man? I swear I'm not playing it this loud. I keep seeing it going over, and I don't know if it's is it me moving my chair or talking real loud? Nope, doesn't seem to be that. I'll try this again. I'm looking for some drum set mics, either a set or separate mics, preferably below $200 with decent quality. Any suggestions? So, of course, if you just type in Pipeline Audio Pile mics or Pile, Pyle, you'll find some videos I did with that $100 drum mic set. I think it's like a 7-piece. Let's see, it has a kick drum mic, a snare mic, 3 tom mics, and 2 like pencil condensers. And I did some videos with those. It actually turned out really good, like $100 mic set. Jeez, so it worked. So I would definitely suggest that. I know everybody's gonna turn their nose at it or whatever, but they really did. I mean, you go watch those videos. It turned out fine. If you can't make an okay sound with those mics, you're in bigger trouble than you might have thought. Anyway, it doesn't come with the kick drum mic is going to need a mic stand of some sort, and so are the condensers. So you're going to need at least 3 mic stands with that thing. The clips for the other mics was pretty cool. Work very well. Okay, is pitch correction the same as auto tune? If you drew a big Venn diagram, then most of auto tune would fit into the pitch correction, but not all pitch correction is auto tune, and there's uses for auto tune that isn't really for pitch correction. There's various different ways of pitch correction. We were talking about Melodyne earlier, but yeah, auto tune is kind of generically used as the word for pitch correction, like for a rotary, what do you call it, a circular saw. Everybody calls it a skill saw because it from that brand Skill, or like Sawzall when you're talking about a reciprocating saw. Usually people use the term auto tune for pitch correction, whether it's Waves Tune or what was it, Nectar used to have one. There's a couple out there. They don't have really very many choices though, and they all have their problems. That's what we were already talking about before, and I don't want to go off on a tangent about. What is a good budget interface for using with a Shure SM58 microphone and PC? Like I said before, it all comes down to the drivers. I would say pretty much anything is going to work well with the 58. You might get away with your onboard audio interface you already have, probably not. But I mean, what's your budget? The Focusrites and the Behringers cost so close to each other right now. There's that whole piles of interfaces that use the Sycon.de drivers. Everybody from Behringer to SSL to Audient. They're all generally good. There's the PreSonus ones. Honestly, right now I'd probably just, unless you're looking to buy an RME, I would buy the Focusrite Solo if that one's big enough for you, or maybe a bigger one. If you need more channels, the AT&I 20 or whatever. There's some other stuff. Motu's got the M2 and M4 out, and I haven't tried them myself. I'm hearing good things about them. I was kind of underwhelmed by the Motu USB drivers on the 896 Mark III. I'm not sure if these are different for these drivers. I hope so. I guess I could go look that up on their site and see if they're the same drivers. But I mean, it's about the same as you're going to get off the Focusrites and stuff like that. Which is a shame, because Motu used to make such good drivers. They were one of the few companies where FireWire actually worked. Of course, the other one being RME. They weren't using Dice 2, which you get into that. But anyway, pretty much anything will drive a 58 well. It doesn't require phantom power, and it's just a good mic. But Focusrite Sapphire Solo, that's what I'd probably go and get. I mean, you're not going to get much cheaper than that either. Make sure you get something that's good with an actual ASIO driver, not ASIO for all, because there are some good Behringer interfaces. They're a little bit cheaper maybe, but then there are also some really bad ones that don't have ASIO drivers. Don't get those. Get the ones that have the ASIO drivers. What specifically do I need to record songs on my computer? Well, you need a computer, you need an audio interface, and then you need something to record. Maybe you're just doing instrumentals. You just need a DI. So you just need to plug your guitar into your interface, because it has a instrument input, for those people who don't like me calling them DIs. But if you're going to be singing or something, or recording something that's not an electric instrument, you're going to need a microphone. So make sure your interface has a microphone input. So yeah, you'll need a microphone, you'll need some cables, and you'll need some sort of DAW, I would think. Maybe there's a way to do it without a digital audio workstation, but most importantly, you need the idea of a song to record. If it's a song, I'll say it a million times, I'll take a crappy performance, I'll take crappy gear with a good song anytime over the best gear and best performances in the world over crappy songs. So make sure you got the songs to do that. And I don't think I can answer that one right now. Why is this one not showing? Okay, how do you soundproof a wall that's already been built? Yeah. It depends what people are saying for soundproof. If you're talking about isolation, you got a couple things. You got direct transmission through that wall. The wall just not stopping the sound getting through. Most of your low frequencies, those are the big troublemakers. But you've also got structural transmission, like just the fact that these two rooms, if your two rooms are sharing a solid wall, then they may as well be in the same room for a lot of things. So like what I'm saying is, if there's a direct coupled solid connection to another room, in some ways you are in that same room. It's the same node for certain frequencies and volumes, pretty much. It's too simplistic, but you may as well think of it as if one wall's a microphone, the other wall's a speaker. That's one way to look at it. Of course, you're probably sharing the floor no matter what you do, but that's why you see like really well isolated studio rooms. They're completely decoupled. You'll have a a floating floor in the one room, and it'll have walls all around it and a ceiling. It'll be completely self-contained so that it's not actually touching another wall or structure in that same building. And that keeps transmission down a lot. But there's also construction techniques. You double leaf walls. The poly, like the PVC, like sheet block and stuff. Just lots of different ways of stopping that transmission. So you stop it as much as you can before your air gap. The space between you and any other structure. And then from there, you may have to do more mass and blockage in the outside structures. So it's really hard. You can stuff fiberglass in the air gap in between, not too much. Actually, if you get to a certain point with fiberglass, you will actually increase transmission rather than decrease it. Yeah, lots of people have it. Sometimes when they're asking about soundproof, they mean something else. Here's this. What's the cheapest way to soundproof a door? So here's one answer. The cheapest way to reduce sounds that pass through a door is to affix foam to the side of the door that the sound is coming in from. Hopefully it's the interior room in your case. The foam looks like this. And he shows some like bed or egg crate foam. The foam is going to do jack diddly to stop sound from going out a door. This foam at any thickness that you're going to see normally can be good at absorbing high frequency reflections. That's about it. It's not going to stop noise from going through a door. Hopefully somebody, yeah. So the best way, if you have a single, you really should have a sound lock, which is a double door. And again, it's a door on one side of your structure. And then with that structure not touching at all the outside structure, except for through the air, you'd have a door in the outside shell as well. Then you have a chance. But if you have to do with a single door, like we do with our isolation booth, make sure you have a really good weather stripping seal, which we actually don't, sadly, and make it a solid door. I mean, the more mass you can put in there, the better. But again, at some frequency, it is going to transmit just due to the amount of mass that it has. But for the most part, you're not going to be dealing with something like that. Just get a really heavy door, and or if you already have an existing door, then add mass to it. But just the foam itself is not going to do it. I like this one. How do people in soundproof rooms not suffocate? And for the most part, if it's a good one, it's going to have an actual air system in. Like we have a one made by Dawbox, or designs by them anyway, where we're using a serpentine air exchange system, so that there's a lot of bends in the hose that goes into the box that does the air exchange. We've got one for the input and one for the output, so you're getting fresh air in there. Of course, we've heard horror stories about ones that weren't ventilated so well, but in general, they're not all that airtight anyway. But yeah, there is a way to make safe air exchange. You can look it up. Go. I don't say go Google it, because Google is becoming useless. But you can bring in fresh air without compromising the audio isolation too much. And finally, do I need phantom power if I have an audio interface? If your mic needs phantom power, or your direct box or some other device needs phantom power, then you need phantom power. If you don't have a device that needs phantom power, then you don't need phantom power. It's that simple. I don't know if you could find an interface right now that doesn't have phantom power available on it. So So yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but find out, do you have a microphone that needs phantom power? And if so, look at your interface. Does it say like 48 volts or have some kind of phantom power switch? If it does, you're in luck. And okay, I think I'm at the end of these. Let's hope we make it through the hurricane tomorrow. And if so, then I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully this Quadracom worked well. And I'll be using this more. I actually like this a lot. Sure, it looks cool.